Okay, so we are live. So good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you for this wonderful event dedicated to the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Paris 2024. I'm Alexander Hamilton Clark. I'll be your host here at Campus Cyber, and we're in duplex with the French residency in the Netherlands with Sarah Jane that will be hosting over there. So it's an immense joy for us to host this event in partnership with the French Embassy in Netherlands, the French Institute in Netherlands, of course, the Embassy of Netherlands in France, but also Eviden, of course, and two major European events, which are INCYBER, which most of you must have attended this year, and also the One Conference. So maybe I think we are live with the duplex. Sarah Janes, can you hear us? I don't think we can hear the...
Can you hear us now, Alexandre?
Yes, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for passing the cyber button. And live from the Résidence de France in The Hague, bonjour, goedemiddag, good afternoon to our hosts, our very distinguished guests, our esteemed speakers, and to you, our viewers, for a fantastic response and turnout. A very warm welcome to the third installation of our collaborative and interactive Franco-Dutch Cyber Dialogue series, and in this Olympic year on an inescapable topic, Paris 2024, leveraging the hidden discipline, cybersecurity. In the next hour and a half, we will discuss preparedness and see why and how cybersecurity is a team sport, with an expert lineup of industry pioneers, law enforcement champions, researchers, innovators, defenders, investors. As speakers exemplifies the passion, the tenacity, the best-in-class knowledge, and the very spirit of collaboration required to tackle complex security challenges effectively and consistently. Please note, our webinar includes an interactive component, as our speakers are keen to hear from you, so you can ask questions in the dedicated box for the Q&A session. And with no further ado, it's my honor and privilege to introduce His Excellency François Labrune, Ambassador of France to the Netherlands. Votre Excellence.
Bonjour, goedemiddag, good afternoon. Dear guests at the Residence of France in The Hague, dear speakers at the Campus Cyber in Paris La Défense, dear participants online, I am delighted to discuss and to open this discussion on a topic of utmost importance for France, for the Netherlands, for Europe as a whole. And with major sports events, the Paris Olympics and the Paralympic Games coming closer, it is more than relevant to recognize that in today's interconnected world, the arena of cyberspace is as crucial as any physical arena. Cybersecurity has emerged as a critical facet of overall security, owing much to the dedication of researchers, engineers, programmers, from both fundamental and applied sciences. In an era where challenges transcend national boundaries and borders, cooperation is imperative. This collaboration must start at a national level, encompassing all stakeholders in the ecosystem, and extend to multilateral and European context to address potential threats and implement effective security measures. As President Macron elaborated during his recent speech at the Sorbonne last month, there is a dire need for a common European security strategy and agenda. This is essential in order to protect our European borders and critical infrastructures like hospitals, telecommunications, our European and national institutions, and to monitor criminal networks. Additionally, this European approach should also focus on collective information sharing between member states. Within Europe, France advocates for enhanced cooperation among member states and the development of autonomous, progressive, and transdisciplinary approach rooted in international law, dialogue, trust, respect for sovereignty, privacy protection, and European values. In this regard, our bilateral cooperation with the Netherlands is, in our view, pivotal, helping us advancing this European strategy. A good example of this Franco-Dutch cooperation is given by the excellent relationship between ANSSI, our National Cybersecurity Agency, and the Dutch NSC. Another illustration is given by the relationship between the national platforms of cybersecurity that yearly organize conferences on the topics. The French FIC, Forum in Cyber in Lille, and the Dutch One Conference. And I would welcome the representative of these around the table. As for cooperation in academia and research, the French INRIA and the Dutch CWI have been close partners for a long time, and they reconfirmed this partnership last year at the occasion of the state visit of President Macron in the Netherlands, and they signed a MOU on research cooperation focusing on digital transition and cybersecurity. With only 74 days to go until the official opening of the, I don't put pressure, but to the ceremony, opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games, today's roundtable comes, I think, at a perfect time to reflect on the importance of cyber-secure sport events of enormous size. Security concerns are at the heart of the priorities of the organization of the Games. And cybersecurity cannot be ignored in these security measures. We will hear more about these insights in a minute, and I'm grateful for those who will enlighten us on this. So I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you involved, either here or in Paris or online. And I would like to extend my particular gratitude to those who were very much involved in the organization of this bilateral roundtable. I would like to salute particularly Mrs. Offermans, Deputy Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in France, and her team for their collaboration. I would like to thank Eviden for co-organizing this event, and as an official partner of the Paris Olympic Games 2024, Eviden assumes a significant responsibility in implementing cybersecurity services and operation. So thank you, Laura, Benoit, and your team for this organization. I also express appreciation to Campus Cyber for hosting a part of this event, and to all the experts, once again, in The Hague, in Paris, and online. Your diverse backgrounds and organization affiliations underline the dynamics of the cyber ecosystem, with participation ranging from local governments, public and private frameworks, companies, think tanks, universities, and research centers. So I look forward to listening to all of you, and I wish you an excellent discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So now calling on the stage Sarah Offermans, Deputy Chief of Mission at the Embassy of Kingdom of Netherlands in France.
Thank you, Alexandre. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur l'Ambassadeur. Thank you very much. Dear guests, let me also, from my side here, from the Paris side, extend a very warm welcome to each and every one of you, online, in The Hague, and here in Paris, to this very special duplex event about the huge challenge of cybersecurity, a challenge that becomes even bigger when it regards the Olympic and Paralympic Games that we've just heard is only 74 days from now and feels even closer now that the Olympic flame has reached French soil. So I can imagine the pressure must be on. It's a real honor for me to open this meeting with very distinguished representatives from the cybersecurity ecosystems of our two countries here at the Cyber Campus in Paris. As the ambassador has said, today's gathering holds significant importance as we show the excellent cooperation between our two countries in the field of cybersecurity. And in particular, again, as Alexandra mentioned and Mr. Ambassador as well, I would like to mention the tight cooperation between the One Conference in The Hague and the INCYBER Forum in Lille. We are witnessing an unprecedented convergence of interests between our two nations, particularly in sectors such as digital technologies. In a world of constant evolution, where international competition is fiercer than ever, it's imperative that we join forces to stay at the forefront of innovation and to ensure Europe's resilience. There are two recent events that I wanted to highlight that really show the high importance of cybersecurity for the Netherlands. Firstly, on April the 12th, 2023, the French-Dutch Pact for Innovation and Sustainable Growth was signed on the occasion of the state visit of President Macron to the Netherlands. And this agreement aims to strengthen collaboration across 4 strategic sectors, including cybersecurity. Secondly, in 2023, our own Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Policy published the National Technology Strategy, in which we identified 10 key technologies where we feel the Dutch knowledge field and business sector can have a positive impact. And again, cybersecurity is one of these 10 priorities. And we have our own concrete test case, as the Netherlands are preparing to host the NATO summit in 2025, which will also constitute a huge challenge in terms of security and cybersecurity, much like the Olympics does to France. So I'm sure we can learn a lot from you after your Olympic experience. Let me end on a positive note by emphasizing the crucial role of innovation in our economic partnership. Cooperation in key technologies brings significant mutual benefits, fostering economic growth, technological development, and job creation. Here at the Cyber Campus, we are in the heart of the French cybersecurity innovation ecosystem, and I've seen some very impressive examples of that this afternoon. I would like to thank Eviden for its contribution to the organization of this event and to wish them the best of luck for the Olympic and Paralympic Games this summer. A big thanks also to both the French Embassy in The Hague and the Cyber Campus for hosting this event. Thank you all for your collaboration and dedication to advancing Franco-Dutch cooperation in cybersecurity. I will now not prolong my remarks any further and hand over the floor to Alexandra. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And now calling up to stage Mr. Franz Regul, the CISO of the Paris Olympic and Paralympic Games, for his keynote. Please welcome him with applause.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me today. My introductory remarks have been actually spoiled because I was thinking about D-74, which is my clock as we go. So yeah, you are aware that we are now nearing the opening ceremony of the Games, but not only that, you have probably seen the torch landing in Marseille last week. It was awesome. I think we are talking about something like 300,000 spectators attending the event. We have seen a lot of people on the roadside for the torch relay also. We are beginning to feel the heat of the Games building, and that's great because that's why we are doing that actually. So when we're talking about the Olympic torch relay, the opening ceremony for the games, the competition, obviously, why do we even bother with cybersecurity? Well, you can see the games as some kind of iceberg. The ceremony, the torch relay, the competition, that's the tip of the iceberg. What everyone will see, what everyone will remember. That's the great celebration. Just at the waterline, you have services. Because the Olympic Games, we are talking about something like 4 billion TV viewers, 12 million spectators, 15,000 athletes, something like 300,000 accreditees. So it's a huge, huge event. The games, the Olympic Village, that's basically the biggest hotel in the world. The Olympic restaurant, the same. Everything is oversized around the games. This means that to manage an event this size, you need lots of services. You need to ensure first broadcasting, because the torch relay, it was great. The landing in Marseille, it was awesome. But without the TV to enjoy it remotely, much less interesting. We have a lot of network connectivity also going on, because media, for example, need that to work. Broadcasters need that to work. A lot of planning too, because you understand that you do not invite 300,000 people to attend such an event on short notice. We have to manage logistics, transportation, contingency plan, obviously. During the competition and ceremony, we will have to manage ticketing, to sell tickets and to check tickets when entering the venues, timing and scoring, and so forth and so on. So basically, the tip of the iceberg, you know about it. The waterline, the services, that's about clear. Now, to deliver these services, you need technology. And a huge amount of technology, actually. My crew, Cybersecurity, is part of the larger technology crew of the Olympic Games. We are talking about more than 200 people for the Paris 2024 only, not counting our various partners and suppliers. Concretely speaking, we deliver a network to ensure all basic telecommunication and network services. We are talking about 400,000 kilometers of fiber optics used during the games. So we do not roll out such a network, but that's basically the distance from Earth to the moon to manage during the games. We are talking about something like 7,000 internet access points for all kinds of users. To manage more than 10,000 endpoints for managed endpoints only, in addition to everything brought by accreditees. Something like 200 applications. So that's basically a serious amount of application, especially considering that about 4 years ago, none of them existed. And obviously, the venue themselves, because some ceremonies, most of the competition, they will happen in stadiums, in similar sporting area. And these places, these venues, they are basically our industrial system. This is where we build dreams, where we build moments to remember, pieces of history. And most of these stadiums, that's part of the project of Paris 2024, they have been existing for a very long time. And still we have to manage them, to secure them as every other system that we manage. So that's for the technology. And now, at the very lowest level of our iceberg, below the technology, we have the cybersecurity issues. Because obviously, everywhere you have technology, you have cybersecurity concerns. And so did we. For the past 4 years, a little bit longer actually, we've been working on cyber securing the games. This means a lot of work. This means first to understand what we are talking about, because, spoiler alert, there are precious few experts who have actually already done the games. So it's a very small population you can refer to. We had to understand the context, to understand the business, to understand what the organizing committee does and does not, to understand, because the numbers I mentioned, well, they are basically just numbers. You can imagine that behind them, there are hours and hours of work to deploy systems, to design them, to fine-tune them. We also had to assess the risk, to run risk analysis to better understand the kind of services, the kind of end result was expected, and how this could be disrupted by bad guys, by criminals. We work to protect, accordingly, our assets. Like any organization, once we know about our risk, we invest, we improve. And lastly, for the past year, basically, we have been training and training again, preparing for what we call operation, which is basically games time, Olympic and Paralympic Games. So how do we do that? 3 pillars, basically, to the way we prepare. First one is anticipation. We've been working on this for more than 4 years. It's simultaneously a very long and a very short time to address such a matter. We've been working with the previous organizing committees. We've been working with the INCYBER, with our various partners and suppliers to map our systems, to map our risk, and to propose the most relevant strategy to protect the games. We also passed a lot of time studying previous games, studying the evolution of technology, improving our cybersecurity posture, wondering every time we had to do something, do we do it like everyone else? Or do we do something specific? Because after all, we are the games. In a few years in the future, we won't even exist anymore. So is it relevant to act like that? How do we build over 4 years, starting basically with nothing? How do we build an entire information system and the associated cybersecurity stack? Few of us had the chance to build such an information system from scratch. Very great experience, actually. And training, lastly, because the essence of the game is that the show must go on. Whatever happens in terms of technology, of cybersecurity, what we do is that we deliver dreams, we deliver things to remember for the future. So that's for anticipation. Second pillar of our approach was expertise. We've been working with a lot of very skilled professionals. We have worked obviously with our partners, Eviden and Cisco. They are fully part of the project. It's not a simple seller-buyer relationship. It's much more of a partnership in which we are in this together, in which we are able to challenge each other, in which we are able to grow together. It was an occasion to meet with great experts, with very, very skilled people to run some meetings to remember, because we had to deal also with some difficulties pretty specific to the project. That's a very tricky context. We've been also working with the INCYBER in France. So the INCYBER is responsible for everything cybersecurity around the games, so the greater scope. And obviously with the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and a little bit also with the International Paralympic Committee. And lastly, beyond anticipation and expertise, we have been working in terms of cooperation. Because one thing you must understand beyond the iceberg structure is that the success of the games, it's not only the success of Paris 2024. We are doing a pretty good job at the moment, but we also depend on a lot of external actors. For the games to be a success, obviously we'll need fans, we'll need spectators, we'll need great sports performance, but also we'll need transportation, energy, health, sanitation, things like that. And obviously, Paris 2024 is not the place to secure all of France. So how do we do that? Basically, there is the core of our system. These are the application, the services that Paris 2024 is developing and delivering. So we do cybersecurity pretty the same way you do for your own organization. Then, slightly wider, we have some services, some applications that are delivered by our partners or suppliers, things that we are not the best to do and that we prefer to outsource. So again, we are doing vendor management, we are doing supply chain management, working with our partners and suppliers to make sure that we have coherent levels of expectations in terms of cybersecurity. Then we have the third circle of cybersecurity. That's these infrastructure, transportation, energy, sanitation, things we do not handle at all at Paris 2024 level, but we cooperate with these actors, with the ANSI, to make sure that each and every one of them is aware of the looming event of the Olympic Games. And typically, I think that for the NATO summit, this is also something tricky to address. Make sure that everyone has that kind of awareness of what's coming. And the fourth circle, the last one, is what we call typically Team France, Team Cyber France. That's basically each and every organization whose image is linked to the games or to France. Because let's face it, during next summer, there will be people that want to hurt the Olympics and that will target anything that is even remotely associated with us. For example, in 2014, in Russia, in Sochi, something like 700 websites unrelated to the games were targeted and defaced to promote ideology. 700. You can expect that in France, major brands, things like luxury, art de vivre, will be probably not the brand, the concept will be targeted. Also some organizations, some local collectivities, some administration. And again, we are working with the ANSI to make sure that all of these actors, they are aware of the looming threat and they prepare accordingly. And that, should the worst happen, we are ready to cooperate together to handle any tricky situation we might face. So that's a very important message I would like you to keep in mind. The games, it's not only Paris 2024, whether you like it or not. If you operate in France during next summer, there will be the games and they will affect your operation. And as such, if you are not already prepared, but I'm pretty sure that you are, there are still a few things you can do. Keep in mind that, yeah, it's 74 days, so it's beginning to get short, but still in 74 days, there is a lot of things we can do. We can do a patching campaign, for example, making sure that we enter the summer with the best of breed organization. We can do some training, some awareness. We can do rights review. We can do campaigns to renew passwords, things like that. So very practical, very pragmatic action and operation that you could consider over the next few weeks. Making sure, obviously, also that you have experts available on call to address anything that could happen during the summer. And if we all do that, we will achieve this. Well, Team France will be basically ready for this summer, and we can expect some pretty good results on the cybersecurity front. So for all of you that are part of Team France, and when the times come for every one of you that will be part of Team Netherlands, please keep in mind that we're in this together, and that the preparedness of each of us is very important indeed. And please, in the meantime, enjoy the Olympic and the Paralympic Games. It will be something to remember. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Franz, for that inspiring keynote. And I think we can all remember that we have to get ready for those Olympic Games. Moving on now to the expert roundtable, I'm going to call to the floor Mr. Benoît Delpierre, CTO for Eviden, and Mr. Pierre Pelven, advisor for SMEs. Please. Thank you. And now passing the mic to Sarah Jane in the MSc. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear
Perfect.
you. Thank you. And that was a very insightful keynote. Now around the table for the expert roundtable, we will have General Jean-Philippe Lecouf for Team Europol, Deputy Executive Director of Europol Operations Directorate, and with his orange tie for Team Netherlands, Dimitri van Zandvliet, CISO of NS, Dutch Railway, and the former CISO of the NOC-NSF, the Dutch Olympic Committee and Dutch Sports Federation. My first question is for you, General. Law enforcement cooperation is mission critical for ensuring safety at major international events. Europol's operational center has provided support to a number of major international events. More specifically, Europe signed an agreement with France to support the host country of the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Could you please tell us a bit more about it?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for this invitation. Well, fighting cybercrime like cybersecurity is a teamwork. So we have to act as a team, and Europol wants to be part of this team. I must stress also that we have a good background in this area, because especially between France and Netherlands, some of the major successes in the last year of Europol in against cybercrime has been achieved by cooperation between France and the Netherlands, especially when we speak about these encrypted messaging systems like EncroChat or SkyECC. So we know what is the teamwork with our French and Dutch colleagues, because I'm talking as Europol. And Europol, we are supporting this kind of teamwork. It's also between, it's something that I want to stress, between cybersecurity world and law enforcement, that the teamwork has to be built, and between the public and the private partners. And with this, we have a complete team to fight against the threats, the cyber threats that are applicable to this kind of event. Well, Europol has some experience in supporting this kind of event. We were last week, for example, it's a bit different, but the Eurovision Song Contest, we were there deployed because there were some, as you may have seen, some tricky things to solve for our Swedish and Danish colleagues. So we were there. We will be in Germany for the European Football Championship to support, and we will be in Paris also to support the Olympic Games. Not only on cyber, our support is broader than that, but I will concentrate mainly on cyber. To tell you that it's nearly 2 years that we are working with our French colleagues to build this support that we can provide. In our case, it's always according to the needs and the expectation of the member states that we are providing the support. We have a support that is tailored to the needs of the member states. So it's why we need this time of discussion with France. And a lot has been done, I can say, by the French colleagues to secure on the cyber side these Olympic Games. For Europol, we will provide support mainly, and I don't want to be too long, but to say that there are 3 areas where we will be really invested. The first one is what we call cyber intel. That is to say, to try to map what are the threats, what can happen, how this can happen on a strategic level, but also on a very operational level with a different focus, large one and more targeted one. We have also the on-the-spot support because we will be able to deploy experts on the spot. We will have on a permanent basis for the Olympic Games 4 staff of Europol being deployed in Paris in the International Coordination Center, but also during the Paralympics. So this, in case of need, we will be there. And the last maybe important thing that we can do, because it's what we do every day, in Europol, our main task is to coordinate international operations concerning law enforcement, putting people around the table, make them talk to each other, even if they don't speak the same language, they don't have the same legal framework, they don't have the same way of doing things, but we are used to that. So it's what we will be provided, this international cooperation, with some also crisis response protocol that are in place at EU level and that can be activated in case of need. So it's a very targeted support that Europol will provide for these Olympic Games. And I can say that the preparation has been very good. We hope that we will be at the right level to counter any cyber threat for these Olympics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Now to you, Dimitri. I mentioned earlier you were the former CISO of the Dutch Olympic Committee and Dutch Sports Federation. It is in this capacity you wrote a piece a few years ago entitled Acting Cyber Savvy During Mega Sports Events. And with you, I'd like to take a retrospective lens and draw the lesson learned from past cyber incidents. In the grand tapestry of sports history and hacks, would you say there was definitely a before and after the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics?
Thank you, Sarah Jane, and thank you, Mr. Ambassador, for opening your house for the Cyber Dialogue for the second time this year already. So it's very good for us experts to have your commitment and your support. Thank you for that. And best luck to Franz Rigul, my colleague in Paris. Bon chance. And before I answer the question, let me first disclose something to you. I'm not participating in the Olympic Games this year. But if I was competing, probably it would be with fencing. Fencing, the noble art of fencing with the sword. It's very rapid. It has a lot of explosion. It's very complicated, and it's so fast. Sometimes it's even faster than lightning, and you can't even see it with your eyes. And that's why they made electronics available in the swords. And if you push with 0.75 kilograms on the opponent's suit or mask, then you will score a point. Now, let me take you back to 1976, where the Russian sportsman, the athlete Boris Onyshenko in Montreal was competing against the English team. And he was scoring point after point, and nobody really understood, and nobody could see it because they said he was faster than the eyes could see. But then the English swordsman, he said, I didn't feel anything, it's impossible. And then another one said, I didn't feel anything, this point must be fake. And then they inspected his sword, and then he had hidden a button in his sword. And actually, that was the very first time that they rigged the Olympics with electronics. So to answer your question, it goes 50 years back already. Now, fast forward, but you know, these kind of tactics, they describe actually the state actor that has that will win at all costs and also will have revenge at all costs. Fast forward, in between 50 years, you had the WADA scandal, where the Russians were exposed for their drug abuse and cheating on the drug agreements that there were. In Pyeongchang, as you said, February 9, 2018, 8 seconds before the countdown, when the games were opened, the chief technology officer, he received all kinds of text messages that all the domain controllers were down, and they were hacking everything. They were hacking 10,000 endpoints, almost the same as with France, 25,000 mobile devices, 6,300 Wi-Fi access points, and they were all going down. Also the RFID access gates for the visitors and the specific areas where you needed special entry allowance, everything was down. And they had to work all night, 12 hours it took them to get everything back. And later on, it turned out that the systems were already infected for a couple of months. They seeded the infection months before the event started. And what was the most interesting thing in this case, and you can read it in this book, Sandworm, I will pass it around, is that they spent quite a lot of effort in obfuscating what they did. So first they tried to blame it on the North Koreans, which is a very obvious blame victim, of course. And they built in a lot of malware, special code in this special malware that they send out with false flags, and even false flags in the malware. So it took them months and months to discover who was really behind this attack. And eventually it was the Sandworm APT. It was a member of the GRU, the Russian intelligence services, that did all this well, mayhem to the Olympics in 2018. And actually, I say it again, this is the opponent that you are talking about. They will win at all costs. They will have their revenge at all costs. And this is the thing that you have to deal with even today.
Thank you very much to take us down the memory lane and that's all those hacks, Dimitri. Now back to you at the Campus Cyber, Alexandre.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So now we are with Benoît Delpierre. So you're the Chief Technical Officer for Eviden. So focusing back on the Paris Paralympic Olympic Games, for you and with the level of threat we talked about, what is the key implication for private actors such as Eviden?
I would say we'll start with what we start with during cybersecurity architecture is identify. We had many people talking about threat intelligence, CTI. And when I say identify, we need to identify the threats, the current threats. You can understand that the threats that we faced today is not really the same that we got, let's say, 2 months ago. It's really different. It's evolving each day. So we need to monitor the threat. And we got our team, our threat intelligence services, which monitor the deep and dark web to catch information regarding the threat evolution. And saying that, in terms of operation, what does that mean? That means if we identify, because we are monitoring the dark and deep web, but we also collect, we scan also information on the social network. And we saw some groups of hackers raise their hand saying that they will make a DDoS attack on our perimeter. So what does that mean in terms of operation? It's not a technical information, it's just a communication effect. So perhaps it's real. So we need to be focused in the next day, for the next days after, focus on the external perimeter because it's a DDoS attack. So normally it should come from the external perimeter. So we need to be focused for a small period and also to support application teams in Paris 2024. It's not only an issue of a problem of cybersecurity. And perhaps because we are cyber experts, perhaps not really an attack. It's just a communication effect. What is the purpose? The purpose is to hide another attack. So not only to be focused, but to steal be vigilant on the other scope of the perimeter. So it's something that someone said it's more tactic, it's more strategic. But for Paris, we need really real-time cyber threat intelligence. And for that, we are collecting technical information. Technical information, which is IOC, Index of Compromise, could be information coming from our technological partners, but also from our incident response team. So they are creating IOC, which can be, for example, a DNS or an IP. And then we deploy this information on our protection equipment. What does that mean also? That means behind this monitoring of the threats, you need really to identify what you are protecting. You need to manage your attacks, external attack surface. It's what you exposed and where you want to deploy this kind of technical information. Because if you want to spread all the IOCs that you collect on all your equipments, it's useless. The amount of resources needed for the equipment to protect with all the information, it's too high. And in fact, all the use cases that we got in our stock using our correlation tool like SIAM historically, they will got too many information to manage. So we need to really ingest the information, push the information in the right place. So for that, you need to manage, to understand what you are protecting in terms of technology, but also in terms of business. So this is the first part, is the identification. It's to identify and then to protect. To protect the application, we are using also a bug bounty program. It's really important. Many people now who knows what does that mean. It means that we have public bug bounty, and then hackers can just try, ethical hackers for sure, can try to find a breach or a vulnerability on our application, and then they give us a feedback, and then we manage to close the vulnerability, which is really important for us. It's because the cyber resources are not unlimited. So using public resources for cyber protection is really important for us also. So here we are protect our IT system, and then we need to detect. And for that, we are using all the information that I explained before to identify and then to protect. We collect all the information in our SIAM. It's a platform, it's an evident platform. It's our own IP, which is ISAC. And we have use cases, correlation rules, but more efficient, I will say, because you can imagine that, as Franz explained before, we have a lot of equipments, and we are collecting logs for all the equipments and also cyber solutions. So it's a huge amount of information and logs. So we need to use use cases, correlation rule, detect attack, because we know that we will get a lot of attack. It's not new information. And for sure, normally we will have incidents. So we need to be able to answer. It's the response part. It's how we will prepare to answer to an incident. So we have to train our team. We have to prepare our cyber processes. And then how, at this time, how we know that we need to engage our incident response team. It's not so easy because we cannot engage our response team each time we got an incident. We will have many incidents. So in this amount of incidents, we need to be focused on the one which is the most important to deliver the sports events.
Absolutely. So as Franz said, the show must go on, basically, with that.
It's why we are here.
Absolutely. And moving now to Pierre. So Pierre, you are the strategic advisor for CBA on SMEs. So we're moving now maybe to the more extreme part and the further away of the heart of the Olympic Games with SMEs, so small size businesses. And could you maybe explain to us how their non-first tier companies are implicated to your sense?
Yes, good afternoon. I would elaborate on what Mr. Reguls said about the third circle. Okay, the third circle, in fact, is the world of SMEs. A lot of SMEs in the world circle. And in the programs we are managing in the Campus Cyber, we have at least I will not give the name of the two SMEs. One is provider of soap to the Olympic game, and the other one is provider of safety equipment for the canoe kayak venue. Okay, so the SMEs are everywhere. Okay, and at this stage in this period, the SMEs are in pain. I would quote Mr. Strudel, Vincent Strudel, head of ANSSI, in what he said recently. He said that no one needs to be target to be a victim. Okay, this means that everybody can be attacked. Okay, and of course everybody knows that the attacks are no more from individual hackers, but no extend to what I would call industrial trawler type of methodology, which are they troll many websites, many entries, and then they find a way. So SMEs are in pain, as I will say. They suffer from phishing, of course, social engineering, zero-day attacks, but mainly through their solutions, but not directly, but through their solutions. And DDoS, not much, because there is no reason to deface SMEs' website. But nevertheless, they suffer, and a significant percentage of them go bankrupt, and that's a very big problem. Okay. Nevertheless, the awareness to gain cybersecurity protection in SME ecosystem is strong, and the Olympic Games are more and more giving momentum to this awareness. Nevertheless, of course, the vendor offer for solutions and services is huge. We in this tower we know that there is a lot of offer. There is a lot of vendors wanting to deliver solutions for SMEs. But on the other side, the demand is obviously they start knowing that they have to protect the SMEs, but they are like a rabbit in front of a car headlight. They don't know what to say, because of time, money, and sometimes competencies. Okay. So what I would say, that market is far from being perfect, and Mr. Adam Smith would not be very useful here. And this means that public authorities have stated initiative. When the market is not perfect, public authorities have to do something. That's the story. On both sides, the offer needs the vendors. They need to find the right application, the right solution for the SMEs, and moreover, the economic model, because it's very difficult to go to an SMEs and sell a solution for 2,000 euros or less. Okay. So we need to find together a solution. And of course, the demand side, they need guidance. And that's what we have been doing in campus with our initiative CBA, which is supported by Digital Europe and Paris region. And we are now giving guidance to SMEs, and also approaching vendors to match at the same time the needs and the economic model of of what could be done for the SMEs. And as I said, this is supported by Digital Europe, and we have this is the ED initiative, and of course there is ED initiative in Netherlands too, and was happy to be able to invite some of our counterparts in Den Haag. I hope that maybe Kato or Dan are there in Den Haag, but maybe not. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Pierre, for this perfect transition. So going back to you, Sarah Jane, for the rest of your questions on your side.
Yes, and thank you for this fundamental discussion and points about SMEs being affected. It comes back a lot on the scenario-based reports. Now, my second question to General Lecouf. With the stellar work the European Cybercrime Center, EC3, carries out all year round, could you enlighten us as per current trends, especially in regards to the threat landscape ahead of the Olympics?
Yeah, well, I can give you some insight. I'm not sure that because we have a lot of specialists around the table that they will be very surprised by what I will say. But it was said before, but the DDoS attack could be certainly a threat. But maybe first I would start by defining different actors. You have the state actors that can they can be also, you have the pure criminal actors, and you have some of them that are a mix of the two sometimes, supported by some states, not quote any, but so certainly DDoS attack, it's mainly a reputational risk, it has been said, because, well, I think that we have things are in place. Ransomware, for sure, will be part of the game. If you succeed to, if some criminal actor succeed to encrypt one part of the force cycle that has been described, it will be a lot of value for this decryption. We have also thought about exfiltration of data, and this is for now, but maybe also we have some criminal actors that are infiltrated since quite a long time and not detected because they are dormant, let's say, and they will pop up when it will be the time for them. And this should be really a challenge to find them. And I think we have also a lot of fraud schemes that are possible through cyber linked to the Olympics, buying tickets, buying things, hotels, accommodation, and so on. So you can think of a very wide range of cyber fraud that can be put in place with social engineering, some of them empowered by artificial intelligence and so on. So all these threats are here in the landscape. We have also some threat linked to intellectual property. It is linked to the streaming of for example, of the event, but also all the what is linked to intellectual property linked to this event. We can have also attacks really at the heart of the system of the Olympics. You can think, as you were saying, not to cheat through some devices, but you can think about an attack on the really what makes the sports game quite. So we can have attack on that, but also attack more largely on the transport, all the support and the infrastructure. So to prevent that also, maybe one word to say that, well, we have tried to dismantle in the last months as much as possible some cyber actors, criminal actors. Well, we had an action against Logbit with recently with our American and English colleagues. Even if it's, as you know, it's not completely extinguished, but we think that we have really make an attempt to their credibility. And we are targeting the actors, but also the infrastructures. When we take down a VPN, a double VPN, a system of botnet and so on, we are attacking their infrastructure and also the money. And we have some expertise in cryptocurrency tracing, for example, which is also important to understand how they can make money from this. So this is very quickly said, first landscape of the threats that I can describe today.
Thank you, General. Dimitri, in the age of AI, what new risk can we, sports events organizers, but also individual athletes and fans expect? How can we be a bit prepared and mitigate our risk profile? Could you elaborate on it?
Yeah, you asked also about the change after 2018, and I think it's very visible that the world has changed a lot, not only by AI, but also I remember when we were preparing for Tokyo, pandemic broke out and everyone was forced to work from home. We were not allowed to fly to Tokyo, and we needed to train, for example, the medical staff to configure the access points in the Holland House. Every athlete had an app on the phone, a mobile phone, where they needed to enter the body temperature at certain times of the days. I mean, that's very delicate information if you are looking at training schedules and diets and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that has changed. The other thing is that, as the general said, we are living in a gray zone at the moment. So there's not a war in the Netherlands and France, but it's not safe as well. It's not peace as well. So there's a cyber hybrid war going on, and extremist factions are aiming at big events to destroy them, to disturb them, to make a point. So that's also very different from 2018. Now, talking about AI, I think the disruptive capabilities that the threat actors have, it will be sped up by AI. It will be possible to have quicker lead times. It will be possible to do multiple campaigns at the same time. But I talked about Boris Onyshenko, which his nickname is Boris Disonyshenko. Also Boris the Cheat. The thing is, how can you recognize those attacks and those APTs and those threat actors? And I think that is also something where AI will be very important, is to have not only the disruptive capabilities increased, but also the deceptive capabilities increased. And as you see now, it's possible for some viruses to reconfigure themselves and to recompile on the fly to stay below the radar. And I think that's one of the things that we need to take into account, next to, of course, the fake news that will be going on, AI poisoning, as you talked about, manipulating the data. But to finalize the question, it's not just about AI. I think AI is one of the worries, but if you look at I talked about the RFID and the entrance to delicate environments. Now, I brought for you a Flipper Zero. This is a device that you can buy for $200 on Amazon. I used it in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and within 1 minute, I had a master key of the hotel and I could enter every room. I will pass this along as well.
Now I will sleep well in our hotel.
This is also the world that we live in. The general talked about state actors and about script kiddies. Yeah. Now we have script kiddies in our trains, for example, that are using these kind of devices. And if you have old RFID, old NFC systems, they will get in and you will be not in a good position. And I think to sum it up, I think the most important thing is to look at the basic hygiene, and it was said already in Paris. Look at the MFA, multi-factor authentication, but I think most important is patching. And patching not only within your Olympic team, but also in your third party. We have very long supply chains. You need to be sure that everyone is patched, because 80% of the attacks still occur by having legacy systems that are not up to date.
Yes, thank you, Dimitri, for this reality check. And back to Alexandre and Campus Cyber for the last two questions before we open the Q&A.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for passing over here. So turning back to you, Benoit, we talked about the level of threat. We talked about patch notes. To your mind, what are the concrete recommendations you would give to companies just before those Paralympic, Olympic Games?
I will say, first message, it's not too late. It's not too late to improve your level of cybersecurity. If you think you can pass the storm, just counting off your chance, because everyone should be focused on Paris 2024 and the Olympics. No, it's wrong. So we need you. It's like a message. We need you, because if you increase your level of cybersecurity in your IT system, in terms of protection, in terms of organization, everything, then all the resources that you can use in France and in Europe to secure the Olympics will be focused on the Olympics. If you are under attack and a lot of companies got cyber incidents, you will have to engage, we will have to engage a lot of resources, and they are not unlimited. So if you strengthen your cyber protection, you free more resources that they can work on the Olympic scope. So this is the first message, and let's be pragmatic again. Activate the MFA. Activate the MFA first on your privilege account. If you don't have MFA in your organization to secure your application, there is a hole somewhere. Identify your surface, your application which are exposed to internet. Are you sure they're really important for your business? If it's not the case, shut that down during the Olympics. It's pragmatic, but if you shut down your application, you will reduce the surface of attack. I would not say to stop all your business, but I'm pretty sure everyone got application, IT environment, RDP exposed on the internet because it's easy, but not really interesting for your business. So just reduce the attack of surface. Monitor the threat intelligence, monitor what's in the field of the threat intelligence on the information, doing with your service providers, MOSINT, just to look if someone prepares something to your company. So again, it's not too late. Let's be pragmatic. You can even, because most of now cyber solutions are SaaS solutions, so you can deploy a proxy protection or WAF application in 2 or 3 days. So it's really easy now to deploy this kind of protection, even for the DNS. And it's secured your users between their laptop and the internet. So again, there is a lot of quick win that you can deploy just to strengthen your IT system. And then you participate to the Olympics adventure to help us to be more focused on the Olympics.
Thank you very much. I think the message is received. So lots of things we can do in a bit more than 70 days. And now, Pierre, you talked about, yes, Pierre, you. So we talked about how SMEs were involved in this cybersecurity around the games. Do you think there's going to be a before and after the games for this sector?
Yes, there will be an after, of course, but there is a tremendous awareness that has been put on cybersecurity during the game, even in the general public. Yeah? So it means that the level of interest from SMEs is rising. That's true, and will not stop after the games. Then, like in Tokyo, the momentum is very good, and we now need to put at scale the protection of SMEs. And the task is immense. The task is immense. But of course, we have good support from the public authorities, as I said before, at European level, at national level, regional level. There is money, but money is not enough. That we also have to find the right way to protect the SMEs. And today, I think we shouldn't work alone in our little country like France. It's a little country, yes. We should also exchange good practice with other countries like Netherlands, but also Germany, also Belgium, and all the European countries, the member states, as we say today. And there is money for that, and that's what maybe will be my conclusion. Let's not work alone. Let's exchange good ideas and solutions between member states.
So collaboration. Thank you, Pierre, for that last word. So Sarah Jane, we've ended the two last questions on our end at campus. Is there perhaps a question on your end to start the Q&A?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to also remind everyone that you have a Q&A dedicated box where you can ask your question to any of our speakers. But to kick off, I would like, because we have other distinguished, esteemed speakers around the table, and I'm thinking of three in particular, for really, so to Evelyn Freder, Executive Director of the TU Delft Safety and Security Institute. Your primary consideration from the academic research community standpoint is how can we benefit from usable research at major sporting events and specifically at the Olympics and Paralympics, and how can we further apply, analysis of attacker models, but also to improve cybersecurity posture?
Yeah, so maybe indeed I will end with a question, because indeed my esteemed people in Paris were already talking about collaboration. But yeah, of course, the Olympic Games are a golden opportunity for a city when you think of attracting people and attention for the host country, and many new buildings and facilities that are beginning of many new uses. However, also on a digital level, I think we can take big steps and use the Olympic Games to make digital security structurally better, not only for the host country, but for the world. And I think science and scientists can play a really big role in that. The Olympic Games provide a complex and high-profile technology-diverse environment, as we've just heard, and it's invaluable for advancing cybersecurity research. These insights gained from a setting can influence not only future sporting events, but also other sectors facing similar large-scale security events. And research can be done, for example, on the threat response and management, the diversity of threats and new insights in attackers, post-event analysis and learning, resilience engineering. There are so many new insights that could be reached if indeed we could work together also with academic institutions. And some of it is happening, but I really think we can scale this up. And of course, to do this, to make this work, we structurally need hurdles to overcome hurdles such as legal issues, collaboration frameworks, a community that works together in this, and infrastructures for sharing and doing so, and also privacy enhancing technologies. And I have my esteemed colleague Ronald Kramer at the table here, and he knows everything about how we can indeed communicate in safer ways and therefore share the data that is needed to make this progress. So yeah, I'm very interested in hearing good examples of what's already happening. And yeah, it's also an invitation for later for the people here to discuss what can be done, what can be done.
Thank you, Evelyn. Unless Ronald wants to add something, otherwise I don't want to put you on the Professor Kramer. I don't want to put you on the spot. My next question, perhaps for Oscar Kourou. CISO of the Ministry for Health, Welfare and Sports, but also nicknamed as CISO by night and hacker, ethical hacker by, no, CISO by day, sorry, and ethical hacker by night. It would be a bit difficult otherwise. We were talking that ransomware is a huge persistent threat to the health sector, but another example, the KNVB, the Royal Dutch Football Association, was also a big victim of it last year. So we see it also affects sports. How do you monitor this at the ministry?
Well, it's very complicated because we, just as the example just given about SMEs, it is a very diverse and spread out ecosystem. We have a huge supply chain for our own institutions and organizations, bigger companies, smaller companies, each have their own dynamics. The type of companies, some smaller companies are very technology savvy, others are not. And we have to deal with this entire ecosystem to survive and thrive. And this is what we have to deal with the ecosystem in cybersecurity, for example, in healthcare, but also in sports institutes. One of the things that I think we don't have to discuss is that sports has a link to politics these days. The geopolitical views and how we have to deal with the world is somehow reflected on sports, and sports is reflecting on those kinds of links again. So we see that this is all intertwined. We have to deal with this situation. This is our daily reality. I've seen the example now of the small device. This is how threats can emerge. They could be as small as this. And if we just discuss how large the infrastructure is that you have to secure for an Olympic Games, this is square kilometers to secure, and your threats are just here, small devices on the table. This should not be, we have to think about this threat landscape. And this is what we have to deal with in any of the sectors, which includes sports and healthcare. A few months ago, there was a discussion here on the embassy of Israel. We've seen, and without going into the politics and the sides of what's happening there, but one of the first things that got attacked was healthcare. And this is something that we've seen in other conflict areas where healthcare is something debatable on should you attack this or should you not, or should you attack sports, whatever. Then you see it does happen. It has impact because we all feel, should you attack this because this is something very dear. People could die directly on the table if this goes wrong. This is something that we have to deal with these days. The attacks are not ethical. We have to deal with all these situations. And it's so good that we at least have all the collaborations now established. We know that we have to deal with this situation. Very good to see all the collaborations internationally. And this is why I'm also very fond of being here and just seeing how the relationship between our countries are working. And I know from many years between the ANSI and the NCC, for example, that the information is being shared not just on a higher table, but also on the technical teams and having knowledge shared beyond our borders.
Thank you, Oscar, and also for being a cyber defender all year round. Laura Muhan, who's a managing director of Evident Netherlands. You wanted to address cybersecurity from a business / social impact perspective, highlighting the need for an integrated approach.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for being here. And like we've been with the Olympics as Atos from 1992. One of the things I regret, I'm half Spanish from Barcelona. I didn't go, which is bad. But you see, if you see like the development and like what happened and the increase of like attacks, I can very relate like what I hear here. I think it was like in Tokyo, 4 billion attacks and 0 impact. So, but to keep like that, we need to continue to innovate. So for me, innovation is very important, and innovation can only happen when we work together and very broad. And I like different mindsets. We need to think about different instances, and I like it, like the events, but what happens on the airport, what happens with big schools, and how are we aware what's happening so fast that we can respond? Because I think we cannot keep up. I spoke with the Director General of the prisons, And the crime, it's unbelievable what's happening there, but we need to be aware as soon as we can. And another very important factor that I see in like, yes, it becomes more business and IT, which means like decentralizing security, which can be as well like a challenge. We need to be prepared for that. And another factor is the human factor, right? Because it's like only 20% still is technology, and I'm working for a tech company, I'm very proud. We don't need to underestimate the social and psychology, and how do we embed that in our security now? And then I look at Evelyn from like the university and like science, we need to integrate it, because I think that's very, very key. And then the last remark, because I know like we have many good speakers here, but the last remark I want to make is about like everyone needs a digital mindset. Like no matter where you come from, business. I have a business economics, but the same for security. I think digital security, cybersecurity needs to be on everybody's agenda, and you need to be aware of what's happening if you leave your phone and so on, and maybe make the impact more visible. But 74 days, right? We are ready.
Yes. Thank you, Laura, for this. Alexandre, I believe we will have a first question as we wrap up.
Absolutely. Yep, we have one question for you, France, that came from the public online. Thank you very much, Benoit. They were asking, what is the extent of crisis testing of the operational teams and decision makers for the Paris Olympic Games? And did it help to fine-tune the security strategy?
Well, that's a very good question, actually. Operation is at the core of our DNA. So we did test a lot of levels, but you have to keep in mind that we have several layers of response. We have several operation centers during operation. So the main one, the technology one, the cybersecurity one, and every venue has its own crew ready to react to everyday issue and challenges. So we did test with the larger ecosystem, with the French authorities, basically. We did a lot of tests with various partners within Paris 2024. And as always, each exercise is an occasion to improve and to learn about your shortcomings and to address them properly. So we have seen lots of things, and hopefully we will test at various degrees until the very last moment.
Thank you very much, France. Sarah Jane, back to you. Is there perhaps a question on your end?
We have a live question from our audience here. Anna Isabel Lacayo.
Yes, thanks, Sarah Jane. I work for Capgemini in Vans, Netherlands. I'm senior manager and I lead the security team. And I was interested to hear more from the General here from Europol. So it was very interesting threat landscape, and as you said, as a security specialist, there is no big surprise. But I was curious to hear if you are working on some scenarios where there is a combination of physical attack with the cybersecurity components. So if you have worked on scenarios, or if you see that there is a current threat going into that direction.
Well, we don't really work on scenarios because we have enough to do with what happens in reality. But what is true is that in Europol, our organization is very well integrated. That is to say, we have the European Cybercrime Center, EC3, but it's alongside with the European Serious and Organized Crime Center, the European Counterterrorism Center, and the European Criminal, Financial, and Economic Center. So these centers that are under my responsibility are working together. So we try to coordinate in this, but we have seen a lot now. Well, cyber is in nearly all crimes that we have seen in one dimension or another. If you speak about money laundering, there's cryptocurrency, there's exchange of information through something. So I think that really cyber is everywhere today, and in Europol we are fully invested in that. So we don't work on really on scenarios, but For sure, we know that our French colleagues and us, we are able to connect the dots, and cyber units are not separated from the rest of the units. And maybe a last point that I wanted, because I'm not sure I have stressed enough on that, that we need really exchange of information.
Yeah.
I know that there's the principle of need to know and so on, but today is the need to share.
Absolutely.
If we don't share the information between the different world, we will fail, for sure. You need some of our information coming from our investigations. We need some of your information coming from cybersecurity, from the private sector to the public sector, and so on. So we need to do that with having in mind all the data protection regulation, protection of privacy, and so on. But the real challenge for me today is really the exchange of information, timely information, technical information, as it has been said, and this is really one of the key, and it's where we can make things better if tomorrow we find, or today we find a way to better exchange information.
Thank you so much, General, for this need to share. And one last question before we finally wrap up. I understand, Alexandre.
Yes, thank you, Sarah Jane. So we have a last question for you, Benoit, about threat intelligence. So we were asked, with regard to recent developments in geopolitical context, have you considered certain cyber threats from specific countries or with specific motivations?
I'm sorry, but no. Why? Because we got a lot of time this kind of question. Yes, the geopolitical context got impact, have an impact on the Olympics. Why? Because it's the major events in the world, and because it's in France. But we know that. But do we improve, do we increase the level of cybersecurity because we know that Russia will attack our IT systems? No. Because since the beginning, we know that we will focus everyone. We will focus every attackers. So do we really need to improve something specifically to one attackers? I will say no. Our level of cybersecurity is evolving in front of the threat, for sure, but all the threats. We don't want to be focused on only one threat or only one actor. So for sure, there is an impact, but do we manage it differently because we know that? You know what I mean? No, because we are here to protect our partner, which is Paris, from every kind of threat, not only one.
Absolutely, very clear. Thank you very much, Benoit. So I think, Sarah Jane, we are arriving at the end of this roundtable in the Q&A session. Maybe if you want a wrap-up word on your side before we end it here in the Campus Cyber. We can't hear you, Sarah Jane.
Thank you, Jean-Jacques. We really saw today that cybersecurity is a team sport, and we saw that Team France, Team Netherlands, Team Europe all are all in it to win. So thank you very much. And I think that's it. Let's the game begin in 74 days.
Thank you very much. Maybe just a last announcement for those in the Campus Cyber. The fun is now about to begin. There is a reception in the Skyline on the 13th floor for those in Paris. So as soon as the conference is ended, you are all welcome up there. Thank you very much.
Also here in the Netherlands, we have a cocktail. We didn't forget you. And a word of gratitude to all the speakers. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you very much, Sarah Jane and all your speakers. Thank you.